Hey everybody, it's the Space Cadets back, where you've got me and Shanice who work at Space Cadets, and then Bean over here working at the lab with Doc Ock. Oh my goodness. So, how is working with Doc Ock's office going?
It's good. A lot more admin paperwork than I thought, but you know, you got to start somewhere when you're pursuing your dreams.
So, I believe this was the week right now that we're recording. This is the week that Batman came out. The Batman came out. Ooh, huzzah. Have we all seen it?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to talk about it. Shanice.
I really enjoyed it. I loved the soundtrack. I loved the acting. I loved how Gotham actually looked like Gotham and not like a city that they obviously filmed in, like a Dark Knight situation where you could tell in Chicago, which isn't a bad thing, but I feel like Gotham is its own character at this point, so it should look like a city that we've never seen before. So I really enjoyed it. I can't really find anything to really critique about it. I genuinely loved it.
Yes.
It's funny because as soon as I left, I was like, I bet Shanice liked the music. I want to know if she loved this music because I know that you love the Batman soundtracks, the older ones, and I felt like it was parts of it were a real kind of throwback. Is that what you liked about it?
I've just been a fan of the actual composer. Mm-hmm. So for a while, because he composed one of my favorite soundtracks, for The Incredibles. So I really loved it, and it didn't really remind me of any older soundtracks. Honestly, it did its own thing, and I just loved it. But it just felt so Batman, and I loved Nirvana popping up twice in this movie.
Yes,
it weird or hokey. It genuinely fit the tone of the film, which just again, I can't stress how good how good this movie is.
Oh my gosh. And I think the casting was perfect, just spot on. Because every single person that came in, I was like, oh my gosh, it's that person. Oh my gosh, it's that person. And then there's one person I was like, is that Colin Farrell? Is that I don't know what they did. Was it a nose prosthetic or cheeks or what? But I was like, oh, that's him. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the casting, the soundtrack. And then it was really good on they definitely made Robert Pattinson as a very broody. It's only his second year as Batman, so he hasn't quite figured out how to be Bruce Wayne yet. Mm-hmm. He's not that playboy yet. I feel like if we get another one, hopefully when we get another one, putting it out in the universe now, that it'll be him figuring out how to be Bruce Wayne. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I didn't know Falcone was going to be the big baddie. I was like, I thought it was going to be the Riddler was going to be the big baddie. Mm-hmm. But then they made it Falcone with a side of Riddler. And I was like, okay. What did you guys think about that? It being Falcone the whole time?
I think that I enjoyed the fact that it was less there is a big bad and more there is actually a mystery and a conspiracy going on. And you didn't just know, it's awesome when comic book movies are Thanos is stomping around murdering people and you're like, that's the bad guy. And there's so much comfort in movies like that where it's we got to kill the bad guy.
Yeah.
that's the thing. But like this one was very like twisty and what the heck is going on? And you think it's going one way and then it's going another. And it is funny because it's like parts of it where they literally just misinterpret that one clue.
Right.
And it's like, oh dang, like the last 45 minutes of the movie were kind of pointless. Like it was awesome, but it was like you could have. Everyone was complaining about it like a 3-hour movie. I was like, oh, if they didn't get confused and go have a sick car chase, this would be a shorter movie.
By the way, that car, speechless on how much I love it. But gimme.
I don't know cars well. Is that just the same car he drove up to the funeral in? Was it the same car?
I don't think so. I'm
Yes,
trying to
that
remember
is
what
a
car
different
he
car.
drove at the funeral.
I want to say the one that he drove up to the funeral and like was more of like a just standard like town car. 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel like a car like that, it like it stands out, and I'm sure people would like, okay, Bruce Wayne just came out of this really awesome like muscle car with little like wings on the back.
Yeah.
I
Like,
wonder if
it
there's
was-
a connection here.
Classic muscle car body, but with like a jet engine in it.
When it first appeared, they did like the big rev and then it did like a backfire. And I thought it broke down. Also, not a car person. So I was just like, oh no, the Batmobile, it broke. But it didn't. So
I'm trying to like think of like what would happen if the Batmobile broke down now. Like, okay, I need that to happen in a future Batman movie or a show or something where it's just like it's so beat up from a chase or something that it's like, no, I'm not gonna work, bro. Nah, you ain't got no Batmobile this time, bro. No, because we're at the point where the Batmobiles and all the vehicles have just kind of like taken on their own persona, you know? Because you can sit there and you can think about each movie and you can like picture the Batmobile because each movie's had like a different style of it, and now I'm just like, what if in one of those chases it just got so beat up that the Batmobile itself was like, nah, bro, I'm out, peace.
do you guys feel like this was your favorite Batmobile, or do you guys still have like another one that's your fave?
I mean, this is like, to me, it's like top 2 Batmobiles for me at the moment. Like this one, and I always like Keaton's Batmobile because it looks so Tim Burton-y, but still in Batman. So I just like them both because they're so just radically different from each other.
Yeah.
But they're still like the Batmobile, just really just super BA.
Yes. And so those two are my top 2, but I've also got to throw it back to Adam West's Batmobile just because that was like the Batmobile to get it started. You know what I mean? Just like it was so, what's the word I'm thinking? Is it corny I'm thinking?
Campy.
You guys, huh?
Campy.
Campy. Thank you. Campy. It was just, you know, it was Adam West. It was that time period. It was just that Batman where he did the Bat Tuesday. Oh my goodness. The dance.
I think my favorite one, and it still is like from the Dark Knight, and where like the motorcycle, like it's like a car, but also like the motorcycle comes out of it.
Yeah.
I just love that. I just love the motorcycle. So I think that technically the motorcycle might be my favorite vehicle. And just that the car happens to be its vehicle. That's the vehicle's vehicle to get places.
Oh, do you know what was really nice about this Batman movie? Batman actually doing detective work. And then he let Alfred help. Like when they got that first like puzzle, like cipher type thing, he was like, well, let's try this. And you know, like any detective work, it's just like research work where it's like trial and error, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, okay, well, that's not working. Let's try another way. And then he was like, you know, actually doing detective stuff. Like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that made me happy because that's something that in previous versions of Batman of Batman movies, except for one, you didn't really see the more detective aspects of his character, because I think people they rely too much on like I guess like the rule of cool, like he's super like awesome and smart and great, he can solve it like no problem at all. But it's refreshing to see Batman actually take the time and make mistakes. Like I think that was one of my favorite scenes. It's like when him and what's his name, Gordon, they're talking about Riddler's clue, and Penguin's like, "That's the wrong language. How did you guys not like?
Yes.
You guys' language right now. How did you mess it up like that badly?" So it's refreshing to see Bruce again, like in his second year, just kind of like, "Oh, this is going to take a while, and I'm going to make mistakes." And it was refreshing to see like I don't want to say like flawed Batman, but like a more realistic Batman, not the like instant like God mode Batman that we've been seeing for the past 10, 15 years. And it was genuinely refreshing to see.
When did the first Batman movie come out? Was it 1989?
Keaton's Batman?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was before I was even. But yeah, our producer says 1989.
Oh my gosh. So we've been seeing God mode Batman since 1989.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, I just remembered, like, one of my favorite things they did was super realistic, and I was so happy to see it, and it's his wingsuit that is actually just a wingsuit.
Yes.
It's super dangerous, and he almost freaking dies from it. Like, I loved that because, like, it was just such a good touch of like, oh, because he could have just been like, and like glide away. And like, I mean, in a lot of the Batman movies, they explain that it's like a special like fabric, and then it becomes like a glider. But this one, he really just has a freaking wingsuit.
Yeah.
Which is one of the most dangerous sports you can do. And like people die from it all the time. And he's just like, ah! Like,
yes. And then how at first he didn't want to jump. He was like,
yeah. It's dangerous and scary.
I think this is a Batman that hasn't really like used his Wayne tech to start upping his gadgets. You know what I mean? Like I did somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember us seeing Lucius Fox.
Yeah,
so that means he doesn't have his connection with Wayne tech yet. So it was literally just a guy in his basement with his own computer set up trying to run this stuff. So I hope we get to see that sort of like progression of like, you know what? I have a tech company. Let's do some things. Hey, Mr. Fox, you got a thing for me? You want to know my secret identity?
So yeah, it'd be like really cool to see him show up in a sequel, because I have a feeling like that Bruce and Alfred are going to like want to like I guess fine tune his gadgets, because like the wingsuit, which I absolutely love, because it's like, okay, this is the second year, it's not going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. So him looking like what's that character, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, just jumping over the building and just barrel rolling down the street, which I loved it, because you can kind of tell it's like, again, like I said earlier, like that he didn't do it, that you can tell that he didn't do it like enough times prior to this. So
I wonder if it was his first time. That's why he was so like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, like that's a very real thing, and like it's not made for that. And like it really is, like if somebody was like, I need to wear something at all times where I could jump off a building in like a bad situation, you could do that. That's not what it's made for. Like, and I love the idea of him just being like, really being like, okay, I need to solve this problem, and then using just what he had available. Like you said, like just like the attention to detail and stuff with like that with this movie was awesome.
Yeah.
Just so good.
Also, I want to know where he got his, like, I want to know, okay, I don't know if it's eyeliner or eyeshadow or what he was using, but I want to see that little interaction where he goes to like Ulta or Sephora and is like, so I need a really good, just like black out my eyes makeup. What do you got for me? Or like a costume store and be like, yeah, so I need some like oil. like, and I liked how they kept him dirty. Like when he took it off and he was in his back cave or basement or whatever he was, and it was still just like melting down his face and all dirty and stuff. And then at the end with the flood, and you just see mud caked all over his suit. You know, I really liked that. That made me, I don't know why that made me happy to see him just like, oh yeah, he still stays dirty. But I don't know why. I want that to be like an extra or something somewhere where it's just all broody Bruce Wayne walking in. Like, I need some good eyeshadow. How can I make this stay? I need a setting powder. Okay. Or is it online? Like, oh, let me look good. What's good?
I would like to see like this deleted scene where he goes like a business meeting for Wayne Enterprises.
Yeah.
And you still see just like a little bit on his eye.
Because you can never get that last little bit out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He just went to like a concert or something last night. He just forgot to wipe it off. That's all it is. It just makes his eyes pop.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Have you guys seen the IT Crowd?
Yes.
It just reminds me of the Noel Fielding's, like, his character's backstory.
Yeah.
Where he becomes a goth in the office and then he doesn't understand why he got fired.
Yeah.
And I'm just imagining he just leans into it and just becomes a full goth in like Ian Wayne Enterprises.
That was his origin the entire time. It was a super IT Crowd film the entire time.
So there's one more thing about this one of the Batman. I believe this is technically on film. Tell me if I'm wrong. That we've seen Batman lose. Like half the city got wiped out. He did not. This would not be considered like, yeah, he caught the Riddler. Yeah, he got Falcone. But half the city got taken out, and all those people were up there shooting people before he realized, oh, snap, that's where I need to be. Did anybody see that coming at all?
No, I do like movies that don't necessarily have a happy ending. So I did enjoy it, but I don't know. I can't think of like if he's like lost before.
I can't think so. Like in the comics, he has a couple of times, but I think this is the first time we've seen on like the screen where it's like he didn't jump in and save the day, and everybody was like, "Woohoo, Batman!"
Mm-hmm.
And that felt so realistic, and it was actually really nice to see. Kind of this like newbie rookie Batman didn't get to save the day, and I wonder how that's gonna like affect him in the future.
I don't think it's so much like that he like I guess technically lost. I think it's just more of like a really like bittersweet ending that we've seen in other adaptations, which I really liked. It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, people died in Gotham, which is tragic, but now they have a symbol of hope in Gotham, and he's no longer like this tool for fear that you see in the beginning, which is a really awesome scene. Then you have like characters like the Riddler who like use that for their advantage. Like, oh, he uses fear, so why can't I? Mm-hmm. So have the movie end with like Bruce just saying like, no, I just reject that line of thinking, and I'm going to be someone who the people of Gotham can like, you know, look up to. I don't know, like I can't say it's like a downer or like super like bad ending like where he lost, but it was more bittersweet than anything, like a Mask of the Phantasm situation, or Batman Returns, or even like The Dark Knight Rises, where like he takes his L's, but you know, it's still Batman. He still rises up. I like the ending. I thought it was like hopeful. Yeah. Like,
yeah, it's just a lot of people had to die to get that hopefulness in Batman.
Yeah, it's just normal Gotham. Like at this point, like I'd be surprised if this wasn't like going to happen anyways without Batman at this point. It's a minor flooding. They'll be okay. They'll be right.
Just some minor flooding.
Just minor flooding, like you know, like a Wayne Tech will figure it out. Get rent would be super cheap. You know, like like rent would be super cheap. It'll be like $300 like a month. So I think he's helping people with that affordable living.
Yes. Oh, there was a detective in the movie that made me laugh for some reason. So in the very beginning, Batman shows up right? And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna let this guy in?" And then later on, he just goes, "Oh, you shouldn't be here." Oh no! And then he helps by saying, "Man, it's kind of weird to use that carpenter tool, huh?" And you're like, but I don't know why. It just like I felt it felt funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting seeing like the shift of like people's views of him as well. And yeah, and the ending, I guess it does have like a really hopeful ending. And we also like we see Batman like interacting with the community a lot more and like actually like physically being like, I am helping you, which it really made me think of the fact, like, I don't know if either of you guys have read any of the I Am Batman series that's been coming out, where what is his name? I know his last name is Fox because it's Lucius Fox's son who takes over being Batman. And that's the theme of that one, which I only got like 3 issues into it, but that is like his big thing is like, I can't just be like a guy backlit by lightning, like standing on a building.
Yeah.
I can't just be a dude in the shadows. Like, I need to be out here, like, working with the community. And, like, that's the whole point, is, like, making the community better. Like, if you just, like, Batman away every time you get something done, like, what good does that do? So, it was interesting. I didn't expect it to show up because that's, like I said, that's a theme from that book, which is so different from this movie. But I was like, okay, cool.
Batman away. Does he just go like, just away?
And like, and adding on to that too, I also, because if there's one criticism of Batman that I always hated, I always thought like was unfair, was when people are like, oh, why can't like Bruce Wayne do more? Why can't he donate more to Gotham? And it's like he does, but the issues are just so like systemic and like intertwined like in Gotham like itself with like its politicians, the people of power. So it's not just like there's only like so much that like one man, Bruce Wayne or Batman, can do.
Yeah.
And it's something that in the movie I liked, that you can kind of tell that he realizes, okay, I've been so hyper focused on being Batman, but I really need to be Bruce Wayne too, to kind of make up for what happened in the past with my family, and to kind of help Gotham out through the Wayne Foundation, through whatever means necessary, besides, like the quote, being Batman away, Batman away the problems. So, you know, that he can help out Gotham on a systemic level, which I really liked. And hopefully we see more of the mayor, because I really liked her too. I thought she was really like awesome, because I definitely want to see more of her in the sequel and see her, you know, how she reacts to Batman and Bruce Wayne, especially what happened at the ending. What happened at the end.
Yeah.
I feel like,
and then the whole different. I'm sorry, Bean, you go.
Oh no, I was just gonna say real quick that I hope it ends up being one of those situations where the character from the movie is so beloved that she shows up in the comics.
Yes, really good moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh. So the other thing that I thought was different, we got to learn a whole new side to Batman's parents, seeing where his mother's family came from, and then seeing like his father's reaction to his mother's family. Like, that was, I cannot remember if that's in a book, because I know there is one storyline where like his grandparents on one side, Batman's grandparents on one side, was part of the Court of Owls, which was like the underground secret society, blah 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 blah. But to see like, oh yeah, Martha was from this big, what was it, Arkham family, and then, you know, the Wayne family, and then they got married, and then like her family her father killed her mother, or no, her mother killed her father. I can't exactly remember, but like, I don't think I'd ever seen that in that sort of explanation, and then to be just like try to be hiding it under the rug. What do you guys think about that?
Did you know of that in any of like the comics that you've read?
So it was very different from what I've seen in comics and other adaptations. Like, I know in the Telltale games, It was like the Waynes, they were in on it with other crime families, and they were part of like this super secret group of like wealthy Gothamites that got their means, which I guess, kind of goes back to it. There is no ethical billionaire, like you did something to kind of like screw somebody over in the past to kind of get to that, to acquire that amount of money. Yeah. So it was interesting in a movie to see that Thomas made a terrible mistake because he thought he was protecting his wife, but he trusted the wrong person.
Yeah.
It's interesting too that you never get like a clear idea of like about who screwed over who, like with the Falcones and Waynes. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But it's nice to see that like more and more writers and just, I guess, creative teams are kind of moving away from like the Waynes were like this perfect beloved family, and it's interesting to see like, hey, they were human. They made terrible mistakes, and they sadly paid for it. So I love this interpretation of the Waynes. It was interesting.
Yeah. I liked too that with his mother having a history of mental illness, I liked that it almost, because like becoming the Batman is not a neurotypical response.
It's not
like being like, you know what, crime sucks. I'm putting on leather and gonna fight people, but secretly, no one's gonna know it's me.
Oh,
and they're not gonna know it's me because I put on a mask.
A half mask.
No one's gonna know, and I'm just gonna do this. And like, like clearly he like is struggling with things and is not like handling things well. And I just thought it was really interesting of, and sort of like with series like Moon Knight becoming more and more popular, it is becoming more in the conversation of like mental illness and how that plays into superheroes. So I liked that.
Yeah.
And also just a very quick plug, because we've talked about this comic before in the past on our previous episodes, but one of the writers of the film, he wrote a comic last year called Batman the Imposter, which kind of touches on these things as well. It's a 3-issue series. By the time you guys watch this, it's out now, but definitely watch the film and read this book because I feel like they tie together so well. I just want to do that quick little plug. So if you watch this, I will like my paycheck.
I'm so glad you said that because I didn't know it was the same writer. And I sat there and like after the movie was like, man, I wonder if they'll ever, but you know what would be a good thing for the next movie in this series is Batman the Imposter. It had a real similar feel. Like I just had no clue, but I had that thought of like, oh, cool.
I have that series here somewhere.
So good.
I'm gonna have to hunt it down now.
Yeah. And I have one more question about Batman before we go on to other things, but like, is this a story from the comics or is this original?
I think it's original. I think it's been like, okay, so this is my opinion. I don't know if it's 100% true. I have tried to look up what comic this was based off, but I think Shanice was telling me about it. AMC actually released a comic that came with the movie. Like when you got it, was it you, Shanice, we were talking about this?
Yeah.
AMC released a comic to go with it because I think what they've been doing with this movie is they picked some pieces out from different ones and they added their own stuff. So this is like mostly original story with hints of other like of the darker series of Batman. I think they did put out at least a 1-issue comic, but you could only get it at AMC if you saw it opening night or something. Yeah, so hunt that down.
It was for like this like special fan screening they were supposed to be doing. The comic is actually the first issue from the Long Halloween.
Oh,
so it's a reprint, but with a different cover, and the cover is gorgeous. As for the story for this movie, it picks a bit from different stories, and it's influenced by the stories as well. I think the biggest one I think everyone can agree on is like if you like this, then you'll like the Long Halloween because of like the mystery aspect of it. Or was it Batman Ego? Just it kind of like picks from like different Batman stories, but I feel like the Long Halloween and Batman Ego are the ones to like really read, and also Catwoman Win in Rome, which is another fun run. So it's just kind of pick some different ones.
Yeah.
So it's not just based off of like one single Batman story.
Well, with that, I'm pretty sure I don't know. I'm just feeling like I need to go get some eyeshadow and then apply it to my entire eyeballs just real quick during our break. So, yeah, we'll be right back. I don't know if I have the right color, but we'll see. You know, so see you guys in a second.
Bye.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
Hey guys, welcome back to Space Cadets. Sharing our secrets about Batman's eyeliner and how we can achieve that look. It's only get work appropriate. We haven't figured it out yet.
I didn't have the right eyeshadow. I'm sorry.
It's too much.
I've actually been doing that like all the time this week ever since I saw it a couple of days ago. So I'm just like, I'm out at this point. Just been walking around just full.
Just with like the water stain coming down too. Oh my gosh. I feel like on Saturday we should all just show up at Space Cadets and just been like for vengeance. So I do have something else to say about the Batman. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, I thought was amazing. I thought it was a perfect casting for Selena Kyle. And getting to see the way that like Catwoman is so versatile in the different, like not just the underworld of Gotham, like but also the like day to day. And then it was really cool to see her be able to just switch that immediately. Like she was working in the club, she came home, talked to her friend for a second, and instantly changed into Catwoman, and then left to go do what she needed to do. And I was like, that feels so realistic. Like that, I feel is exactly what Selena Kyle does. What did you guys think of Catwoman?
I wanted to say I do have one thing that was kind of like I was kind of unsure, and I think they kind of left it ambiguous on purpose. Was that if that was her friend or her friend? You know what I mean? Like because
bit of column A, bit of column B.
Yeah, and I think that personally I saw it as like, and as after reading so many comics where like, you know, I don't know, where that they play with like, you know, her being bi and like everything. And I like when I was first watching it, I just assumed at first like, oh, that's her girlfriend. But then they make it like, oh, that's my friend. Like she just, you know, and I don't know if maybe it's like a whole, I think they purposely left it ambiguous to kind of not make people mad who might get mad about that. But I kind of like it kind of took me out of the movie for a second of just being like, okay, you're towing the line, okay, pick a side, man, like, but that's okay. There's gray areas.
He is bi in the comics. I think so because she has a couple of fun weekends with Poison Ivy or Harley. I know that. So I think she's bi.
And I know that what's her name? Zoe Kravitz, she has said that her portrayal of Catwoman is bi.
Yeah.
So I know it's like canon in the books, and now it's canon in Reeves' films.
Yeah.
So it's like I was wondering that too because it's like, it's like, is that her friend? Is that her friend? And like either way, you can understand like her reaction to the whole thing because that's someone that she truly cared about. Yeah, just getting taken out like that and just
yeah. Oh goodness.
I think I was more invested in her, that being her girlfriend, than, and like this may be my like hot take, I was not invested in her and Batman. I'm like, you don't even know him.
Yeah.
You don't even know him. Like,
you don't even know.
See, I actually felt like that was, to me, like one of the highlights because, like, I feel like we have such a iconic couple, like comic wise, you had to have that chemistry, and I was just so worried that her and Robert Pattinson do. It just, both very, very attractive people, but there's nothing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, I like this.
Yeah, I feel like they're building up that relationship rather than just like instantly having it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like hopefully, at least in my opinion, they're going to build it up where it's this like cute anti-hero sort of like flirting back and forth. Like, oh, I'm going to fight with you. Oh, I'm going to fight you. Now I'm going to kiss you, but then I'm going to fight you again. But now I'm going to fight with you. And I'm like, okay, let's see this back and forth. Get to know each other. I like it. So I do have, this is a giant spoiler for anybody, as we've already spoiled a lot of it. This is probably the biggest spoiler. It's been out for a couple weeks by the time this is airing. That ending though, that ending credit, like not the end credit scene, but like that, like end where Riddler and somebody is talking in the asylum. We all knew that was Joker right away, right? Like just the way he was talking, right? We all knew. What do you guys think about that? Like at this point, I'm a little confused on it. On like, I'm guessing the timeline. So Joker is already Joker, and he's in Arkham Asylum already. So does that mean he hasn't, like, since this is only year 2 Batman, does that mean that he hasn't gone up against Batman yet? Or does that mean, was that like his first big bad? Like, I want to know what your guys' like theories are on what's going to happen with Joker.
It's interesting because after I saw the movie, I immediately looked up interviews like with the director. It's like, because wait a second, because the actor who plays the Joker, he's in the Eternals. So he's in the MCU, and I don't want to spoil anything for the Eternals, but they're building up something involving his character that you saw in the post-credit scene. And I read that Reeves said that it was just kind of like a fun little like cameo. So it's supposed to be like a one-off, which I'm happy about because and this isn't a knock against the Joker as a character because he is interesting and I get why he's so iconic, but I really do think that Batman has the best rogue gallery besides Spider-Man, and I want to see them explore more villains. I love that Riddler and Falcone, they were the bad guys in this movie. I want to see Mr. Freeze. I want to see Poison Ivy. I want to see Scarecrow. I want to see more characters. So if this is just like a little like one-off, then I'm fine with it to show that, hey, these characters are still running around without making like another origin story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stoked about it. And I love how hideous he looked from what we saw in the silhouette.
Yes.
Just gross. And just,
yeah.
But what do you think, Bean?
I'm not like I I love Batman and everything, and I was actually, I guess I kind of, for some reason, didn't think that was, I didn't think that was the Joker at first. I think for the same reasons that Jenna was, like, questioning it, of, like, but he didn't fight the Joker yet. So for some reason, in my mind, like, I immediately thought it was Two-Face. I think maybe because his face was messed up, but then I saw, like, both sides were messed up. And then, like, as he kept talking, I was like, oh, that's meant to be the Joker. But yeah, I definitely agree with Shanice of, like, I want to see, like, Joker cool, whatever. He had his own whole movie. Let's see some other folks. Like, I think my dream one, which I absolutely want to hear, like, what you guys want to see from the next one, but is a character that hasn't been seen on screen yet because she's very new as a villain. But I would love to see Poison Ivy with the Gardener. If you guys have read any of the Gardener,
Yes.
I love her. I love this, like, very, like, her origin story of being, like, you know, a female scientist, you know? That's why she's, like, one of my favorites immediately. But I was like, just what a really good director could do with the dynamic of having the Gardener and Poison Ivy. And the Gardener is the one who's, like, engineering Poison Ivy and other creatures, because in her, like, origin comic, she has all sorts of, like, insane carnivorous, like, plant beasts that are, like, running and, like, killing people.
Yes.
I would love to see that, especially in this Gotham that, like, looks the way it does and has the style it does. Like, I want to see that.
Oh my gosh, yes. 1,000% yes. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, who would you cast as the Gardener?
Oh, I didn't think that far.
But yeah, I would love to see some of the, like, other, like, smaller villains and anti-villains that Batman has gone up against. Like, I would love to see him and maybe, like, Deathstroke, because we've seen Deathstroke in Suicide Squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't seen how he is with Batman, because they literally are just, like, butting heads, not just fighting because of, like, hero to anti-hero. It's literally because they just can't stand each other on a personal level. And I think that would be really interesting. Or even see him as, like, him and Lex Luthor, because they've crossed paths a couple of times in the comics. And again, it's another one of those things where it's not just against, like, villain and hero. It's something personal, person to person, like Bruce Wayne to Lex Luthor. They just don't like each other on a personal level. And I want to see that get played up in a movie now. Just like human versus human. I don't like you. Well, I don't like you. Why don't we like each other? I don't know. Let's fight.
But Shanice, who would you want to see? I don't know if you already said, like, but
villain wise, I mean, like, we honestly, anybody from his rogue gallery, with the exception of Joker. Again, nothing against the Joker. It's just like you said, he's had a whole movie at this point. We don't. I'm kind of done seeing him in live action for a while, but I really want them to use Zaz or Professor Pig, because everyone's like, oh, this movie, like, was way too dark. I want Reeves to go even darker, because like, screw it, like, you thought this was dark already. Just kind of just like go ham with it. Even have, like, I don't know, Harvey Dent before he becomes Two-Face. I would love to see. I would love to see that in a sequel, to see, you know, Harvey and Bruce's, you know, relationship before it just goes up in flames.
Yeah.
But man, like, there's so much. I mean, I would love to see Man-Bat.
Oh my God, yes.
like a creature feature of something, that'd be great. I mean, I actually want to see Man Bat now.
Oh, there was this one that somebody just reminded me of. What is his name? It's like Lord Death or something, where he just looks like Skeletor.
Oh,
Where it'd just be him and Skeletor, pretty much is what it would be. And I think I saw that on TikTok. Who was it? I think it's called Red Panda is who does it. And I'm like, oh, that would be so fun to see this Batman against. Where it's like, oh, I can't die. It's like, oh, this is the wrong Batman to say that to.
Man, I can't stop thinking about Zaz now.
Yes. Oh my God. But would it be okay, when we're talking about Zaz, would it be early on where he only has a couple of scars from killing folks? Or would it be later on Zaz where he's just covered in scars from killing folks?
I would want to see completely messed up, and also like I don't really want him to be like the big bad, but I want him to be like the intro bad.
Ooh.
You know, like where he's this like it just because like I like the ones where they start off with like just something ridiculous and then gets into like the real story, but you get that little like, you know, like crazy guy covered in scars, like and like
and then I want him to be like sneaking around behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Just like, what is that bald guy doing? What? Why is he? Wait, he's there too. Like, where's Waldo? But where's Zaz? I don't know why, but I really want. I've always said this back from when Gotham was on TV, where I was like, I want to see just like one like little like small bad guy just like pop up in every episode, just like a face, just like do. I'm off to do bad things, but you don't realize it's like 2 or 3 seasons later.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, he was there the whole time. I see him. Yes, that's who I want to see. I want Zaz. They need to go back and fix this movie where they just pick a character, like pick the actor they're gonna have play Zaz, and just put his face in a little random places now, or just have him walk like behind the scenes or something, or he's one of the people on the rooftop of the dome. Yes, let's put Zaz everywhere.
I'm just imagining somebody making that for you, but it's just like a very bad like Photoshop of just like a man just in the background, just like Bigfooting in the background, just like
green screen showing up around us.
This is a random thought, but like I'm gonna put it out in the world. I hope the way they did this movie influences the next generation of Batman video games that come out.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Or just the next generation of superhero movies altogether. Because we have these happy dory ones. Don't get me wrong. I loved playing Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a fun game. But I want something like this Batman. Yes.
And definitely, yeah. And our producer just frantically typed in, but still play like Arkham, right? Because
yes.
Arkham. Arkham is so fun.
Yes,
but
they are.
Just personally for me, my favorite games and my favorite gameplay is story-based and investigative. Like that's my yes, like that. But like still, you know, I enjoy things where it is like Arkham, where you're like the Arkham series where you're like running around and like doing things and fighting and everything. And you're not just on like rails going through a story.
Yeah.
So I really want like a way bigger like investigative element in the next games that come out. Like that'd be awesome.
So I think the one thing from this movie that I hope other superhero movies can learn from going forward. Well, I think this movie and MCU Spider-Man did a really good job of like, hey, we've seen these stories so many times before. We don't need to see the Waynes get gunned down in an alleyway. Just start right where they're heroes. And just, you know, and just write a story around that. I don't need to see their origin story for the 4th, 5th, 6th time. And that's something that was just truly refreshing. It's just seeing like a bat signal go up in the sky and seeing people in Gotham go like, oh crap, and they just like run.
In that opening fight scene.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I loved that. Oh god. I'm sorry. I got super excited. Okay. Does anybody else realize in this movie, we realize Batman can take a hit? Like, you don't usually see somebody lay punches actually on Batman. He's usually like, oh, I'm too fast and swift for you. No, in this one, he's like, oh, I got hit. Let me hit you back. Oh, let me take a minute to catch you. Like, he actually was getting hits. And yeah, I don't know why, but I was like, oh, Batman can take a hit. Okay.
And the whole thing, the fighting was awesome. I wasn't really going to bring it up because, like, I don't know how many people enjoy that, but, like, I've done fighting before. I've been in, like, combat classes and everything just for fun, and I really enjoyed that because, like, it is part of it is not just, like, you can try and dodge, but you're going to get hit sometimes, and part of it is rolling with that and, like, negating how hard that punch lands by moving with it, and I thought that they just did – the fighting was – flawless. Like, whoever choreographed all that,
oh my god, Matt,
so good. Absolutely wonderful.
I give you my highest applause to the choreographer. Like, seriously, like, mad props. I see what you did there.
It's super trippy too, because like I love how as more and more Batman movies like the more like a Batman movies that we actually see, I love how the suit is getting more and more like actually like, you know, I guess like a mobile. Like you can see them like actually move. Like watching Michael Keaton's Batman is just so funny because he's like turns his whole body to turn to the right, and it's endearing. But
like, there were moments in this movie where it felt like he couldn't turn his neck, so he would turn, like, he could turn it a little bit, but he would have to turn the rest of them. I don't know. I feel like they had a couple of different suits that they used for this. Ones where he was just talking to people was like a stiff one, but then there was the combat one that he had, and I felt like that one had more joints to it, so he could fight in it. I don't know. It's I don't know. It felt like there were moments that he couldn't, like it was Michael Keaton Batman again. So I'm not sure. But then you think about it, how would they, when you have a suit that's to cover up the neck and then like the cowl, right? How does that? Like, how would you be able to do armor pretty much around your neck and still be able to move it? It would have to be in pieces, right?
Yeah.
It's bat magic. That's not a question. It's bat magic. It's going back to what I said earlier, like, oh, I love how you don't see like Batman in God mode. I'll allow it for the neck thing. I don't think there's a way we can really
just be able to move your neck. That's all we ask for in these days of Batman movies. Let him move his neck. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I have been trying to find a single complaint about this movie, and I don't think I have one. It did not feel like a super long movie. It didn't. Because I know a lot of people were like, oh, look how many hours it is. And you know what my thing is? Titanic. That came on 2 VHSs because it was like 4.5, 5 hours long, right? How many times did people see that in theaters? Okay. People complained about Zack Snyder's Justice League, but then I sat down and watched it and it didn't feel that way. But then you come over to this movie, it didn't feel like, what was it, 3 hours long? It didn't feel like that at all.
So I went to see it in theaters, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen very many movies in theaters since the pandemic has lifted, is better, is whatever, vaccines came out, whatever, you know. I haven't gone back to the movies very often because I also like moved in all that. So I kind of haven't ever really gotten back in my rhythm because I used to go to the movies all the time.
Oh.
And this was a movie where I was like, oh yeah, you know, there's some perks to like being in your house and watching a movie, because the person next to me was feeling the fact that it was a 3-hour movie, and literally the super emotional scene where Alfred's like in the hospital and that's when they checked out mentally. And they were like on their phone and like full like brightness, like on their phone. and like they had I was in like the nice recliner seats, and they're like bopping their feet and
Oh my
like,
gosh,
like
I would have
just,
shaken
like,
a person.
grooving, and I'm like, I like actually like sat like this for a while because I was just like, I can't handle you right now. Like,
Oh
I'm
no.
sitting there just like, well, I'm back watching movies in theaters again, aren't I? Like,
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to have words with somebody. Rude.
at least though, I did get to see the movie
Yeah.
in the way it was intended. I'm so sorry, guys, because I know you both had way worse experiences with that. Like,
So next time it should just be like us three go see a movie.
Mhm.
Because I'll be sitting there like, oh.
I'm just gonna bring a big hat and then just tilt it.
Like one of those like the Kentucky Derby.
Sombrero.
A giant sun one.
I'll be eating popcorn.
Just put the popcorn on, put the empty bucket on, and cut out eye holes, and then it's just...
Oh
Just
my
like,
gosh.
much
So-
like those horses.
Oh, so for the Batman, Shanice and I both had hiccups. So when I went to go watch it for the first 5, so everybody knows I'm partially blind. I can't, my eyes don't really differentiate between super light and super dark, right? They left the head LED giant bright lights on for the first 5 minutes of the movie. So I didn't get to see the first, I could hear it. And poor, my husband's sitting next to me like, okay, so this is what's happening. They're doing this. There's a thing happening right now. And then not even, like I said, 5 minutes in, and 5 or 6 people stood up and just like exited the theater. And then less than a minute came back in and the lights were off like as soon as they sat down. But it was just like, yeah, I didn't get to see the first 5 minutes. So I hope I didn't miss anything. It was greatly described to me though, so... And Shanice, do you want to tell everybody about your hiccup?
Mine, it's more like frustrating, I guess. But like, we went to go see it at one of the fan screenings, and the projector broke, and it didn't tell us until like 30 minutes before the movie started. But at least we got a refund, and I got my comics, and I got 2 movie passes. So I'm not terribly upset.
Yeah,
it's just I wish that they had told us at least an hour in advance, so I could have tried to find like another theater or something to watch it. Because at that point, they were all pretty much like just sold out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was frustrating.
But at least we got to watch the movies. So.
After a long trial and error, yeah, we just got to watch it.
We got to watch it. Now we got to talk about it for a long time.
We're just gonna call it for tonight because I think if we kept going, we can talk about Batman all night. If you guys haven't seen it, like give it a shot. Like please watch it as soon as you can. It's great. And on that note, we're gonna get some rest. We will
go watch it.
Yeah. Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Bye.